you go. All right, guys. Great. Thanks for dropping those in the chat. Hi, everyone. Awesome. You have treasurers, presidents. Love it.
Original blend. Yay. Native American and Indigenous Student Union. Awesome. Software engineering and Towson Audio. That's awesome.
That's cool.
You're the president of both of those? That's fantastic. Lasso is in the house. FCAT.
Oh.
This is good. Impromptu.
Nice. All right, it looks like we've got a small group of us so far, so that's great. I'll wait another minute or two just to see if anyone else pops in, but then we'll get started after that. But keep sharing your names, positions, and orgs in the chat if you haven't already. And we'll introduce ourselves as well. I promise we won't be floating heads that just stare at you while we're in here. Promise.
That is a small group. We're going to have a good session.
Yeah, that's exactly what that means.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, I'll kick things off then, and as people come in, we can fill them in. But as you guys know, this is the planning events at TU. So this is the events and conference services staff. So really what we're focusing on here is how to help you guys plan all of the amazing events and meetings and all such cool things that you guys are doing throughout the semester. And just to give you guys a small picture of the things that we do throughout one semester, we can do over 1,500 events, and a big chunk of those comes from students. So that's great. So that means that you guys have a lot of knowledge and responsibility to get those things done and put together, and we're the people that help you do that. So we'll get into what that means and what that all looks like now. All right. All right, so this is our agenda for this. So we'll explain a little bit about who we are, what we do again, the planning process and how that looks all together, requesting and using locations, and then we'll have a Q&A session at the end for you guys. If you guys have anything that you want us to specifically talk about, we'll go over that as well. So what do? We help you plan all the things that you guys are doing. Like I said, we'll provide you with event support. So that includes setup for any tables, chairs, things that you might need in the room, any AV or tech equipment that you guys might be using. So for a lot of you guys, that's speakers, lighting equipment, things like that, microphones that you guys use to put those things together, any staffing needs, so ticketing, safe staff, things like that go into that. And then day of event support for any major large-scale events, we do that as well. So I'll get into introducing our team. I'm Lourdes. I'm one of our event managers, and I work primarily with student organizations, and then I'll have the rest of our team introduce ourselves. So I'll kick it off to Liz, since she's the next person on the list.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Strauch. I'm our senior event manager who will work with a number of you to help plan your events that are happening on campus.
Hi, I'm Heather Sorensen, and I am the reservations manager leading the reservations management team.
Hi, I'm Jasmine Reese. I am the assistant reservations manager, and I assist Heather with processing your reservations.
Perfect. So all of the four of us are here to help you, but then we also have other teams of people that want to hear from you guys and talk to you as well. So we do have a setup and operations team. Like I said, we'll help you with tech staffing, and then we have our technical operations team as well. I'm sure they say hi and would love to be here and talk to you guys anytime, but we represent them as well. Just some updates and reminders for you guys to keep in mind when you're planning and considering what you want to put on the calendar for your org throughout the semester. So these are our working event hours. So they are or have been extended since last semester. So Monday to Thursday is 7 to 10:30. Same with Friday and Saturday, and then that Sunday mark there is 8:30 to 10:30 p.m. So make sure you take good note of that if you guys plan to do something earlier in the day or late in the afternoon. And yes, these apply to the Union and West Village as well. Then those are tabling procedures and updates there for you. So you are limited to 4 hours twice a week. So as you guys are planning how you guys want to fundraise, that's where that key reminder there is going to come into play. And then if you're planning to bring any food trucks on campus, normally that happens once things get a little warmer out. Please let us know because you do need an approved food waiver to go through that process there. And some more updates here. To utilize the Union or West Village Commons, you must have a reservation. That applies to most of the spaces on campus there. If you don't have a reservation to be in that space, you can't be in there. We see it a lot, and why we kind of created this note for you guys is in the Union and West Village. Sometimes people like to peek into those meeting rooms. They see that no one's in there. There'll be a sign on the door that says green and available, so they think, great, I can walk in with my friends and hang out in there. And then someone from our staff will politely have to ask you to leave. So just avoid that. We have that reminder there for you guys. So come and talk to us if you need a space and you guys are organizing something, and we'll make sure no one bothers you, essentially. So any furniture, the next reminder, any furniture you find in the lobby spaces may not be moved. So all of the fabulous, expensive, nice looking furniture that's out there just has to stay there. So don't try to bring it into the rooms that you've booked. All of the furniture and setup that we've marked out for you is what's available to you in that room. And then the most important reminder is to keep in mind your reservation times and when you need to be in and out of the room. That's another thing where people will come in and bug you if you are stepping in and out of those times. So I always like to remind my groups to keep that on hand, plan ahead to when they need to leave a little bit early if they need to get things cleaned up 15 minutes before they need to head out so that everyone's out at the time that they're scheduled to. Any questions there before I move ahead? Sweet, okay. So now it's when we go into kind of explaining the event process and the whole planning of it all. So we have different types of events here. We have it laid out just so it's easier for you to understand, and then kind of some notes there for you. So I won't go through and walk through all of these things because they're kind of self-explanatory there. So outdoor events is a bigger thing where you guys are going to need some more planning, but our event managers can help you out there. Weekly meetings are where kind of business is discussed for your organization. So that's where most of your board members are going to be meeting. And most of the time that happens in academic classrooms. Tabling, like we talked about earlier, is that fundraising, promoting events that you guys are doing throughout the semester. And then any sports related things normally happen in Vertic Hall there. So that happens with Campus Rec. Cool. And then this is what the timeline looks like for that planning process that we're talking about here. So 3 to 4 weeks out, you'll submit a reservation request, and that'll happen through 25 Live, and we'll explain what that process is a little bit later. Then you'll start talking to either Liz or I to get those details and things sorted out. And then at least 14 days out, we'll have that confirmed, set aside for you. So if you're requesting any tech, any setup, staffing, that'll all be sorted out before those 14 days happen. So that's where Liz and I might be bugging you guys a little bit more to be like, hey, we haven't heard from you yet, and we need to sort these things out. So you can keep in mind, especially that 14 days out rule. That helps you and us a bunch. And then 7 to 3 days out is when we'll take any final last changes that we need to make. So if anything small, minor happens in that time that we need to adjust, we can do that then. And then 48 hours out, just notify us event managers if you're planning to cancel your event, something happens, like Monday and Tuesday where it's snowing and we won't be in school. So things like that, where weather happens, is where those big cancellations happen a lot. So that's in the planning process there for you. And then the day of, we'll make sure everything's set up for you and executed the way you'd like. And then we all want you guys to have fun. So that's there. And then for any of my finance people, I know there were a couple of secretaries, treasurers in the chat there. Some costs to consider from us, ECS, is catering there for you. Tech costs are normally the big thing that we see with student groups where they're not anticipating it. Staffing, setting up, and any outdoor event kind of requirements and things that we suggest for you. But again, if you have any questions, that's where Liz and I will come in and give you estimates of costs. So when you come into our office and schedule a meeting with us, we can go over what that looks like for you. So if that's a concern and your organizations are working on a tight budget, or you need to submit a finance proposal or something to SGA, you can always come into our office and we can sort that out and kind of plan ahead with you. All right, and then I'll let reservations take over this part here.
Thank you. So, again, my name is Heather. Thanks so much for joining us today. We're going to talk about what you would be thinking about prior to requesting a location. Is it an indoor, an outdoor event? What type of location works best? Is it allowed to happen in a classroom? Do you need event space, such as in the University Union or West Village Commons? Is it tabling? Are you looking to have a kickball event on Newell Field? What is the expected number of attendees at any one time? So if it's 400 people, but they're coming and going, we call that a flow event. You want to be thinking about the maximum number of people that you need to fit in the area at once. Do you need a rain date or a rain location? What setup works well? Tables and chairs, how do you want those arranged? Do you need a stage? How does that impact your capacity? If you put in a bunch of tables and chairs, you may not be able to have as many people in the room as you could if you set up theater style. Is there a pre-existing setup? We don't have those in too many locations, but for example, Pause, so UU0145 Pause is an as-is location. It comes with tables and chairs that are already in the room. So you would want to be thinking about that as you were considering requesting that location. Do you need to request additional pre-event or post-event time? That's in your event request form. It's under additional time when you're looking at the date and time on the request form. If you need time to put awards out on the table for your award ceremony, you need to request that time. Your award ceremony starts at 7 p.m., but you want to set up your awards and make sure the flowers look pretty on the table. You want to do that before the event, so you want to request pre-event time. Do you need technology? Does the plan include presenting or performing? You want to put that information in your request so that your event manager that gets assigned to you knows that you're considering that and you need a cost estimate for that and you'll need approval of your budget, etc. So you want to put that information in. Don't just say no when you really might need it. You want to actually ask about it so that we know to help you. Did you include these costs in your budget as you're planning? So your treasurers, as Lourdes was saying, treasurers and event planners, are you thinking about your budget and what resources you have available to you financially? Your event managers will help you know all the ins and outs. So what if we want a stage in this room? Can we put a stage in that room? Your event managers know, and they'll be able to help you as you're planning ahead. That's a lot of information on that slide. Questions in this specific area for right now before we continue forward? Great, I love it. That means we're doing well. Okay, Lourdes, are you running the ship here? And if yes, can you jump ahead to the next one? Yay! So how do we make a request? We request in 25 Live. All requests should be coming in through 25 Live. Randomly sending an email asking for 14 days throughout the semester. Nope. Up to 2 members of a recognized organization, and you will They will be the ones putting in the requests directly in 25 Live. Well, what if I go to 25 Live and I can't access anything? That is because you haven't completed Blackboard first. The Blackboard assessment is required every year. It rolls over in July. We just picked the end of the fiscal year. So it rolls over in July, but once you do that, you're good as a requester for the full year. You don't have to do it every semester. It's for the full year. So you include the last step in the Blackboard assessment is that you must fill out the information form. That is what lets us know that you've completed the assessment. To get through the assessment, you have to complete each module with a score of 80% or better. So that's why the next module maybe hasn't opened up yet when you're going through the assessment. You'll need to log into 25 Live once for the first time ever. That lets the system recognize who you are and create a record for you that we then go in and adjust and give you the correct permissions and assign the correct organizations to you. Yes, you can be a requester for more than one organization. So if you happen to be involved in 2 different organizations and that is part of your structure, that you are the requester for both of those organizations, that's fine. You just put that information in the information form. You just let us know who the organizations are, and we're happy to help you with that. You will get communication from reservations management. It'll come to and from reservations management. So you can also go back if you forget how to do something or you're not sure, you need a reminder on how to use Find Me a Space or something like that. Once you've completed the Blackboard assessment, you can always go back in and rewatch the videos without having to retake quizzes. So feel free to use that as a resource throughout the year if you are needing to go back and refresh. Requests are requests. Go back for me. Again. I don't know what happened. There we go. Requests are requests only. So that means they're subject to changes. Then we might change time, we might need to change location, we might need to change your pre-event time because you've asked for, 3.5 hours of pre-event time for something, but we need time to set up the room. So always you are submitting a request that is subject to changes in all kinds of ways. Submitting a request does not mean you have reserved a location. It means you have requested a location. And once you receive a confirmation back from us that says your request has been processed, then you have reserved a space or a table or a field. So you should not be publicizing. We should not find lots of things on Insta or Snap or anywhere else, or even in your Discord server saying that you're going to be somewhere at a certain time if you do not have a confirmation yet. Requesters, so the person putting in the request, is who receives the message back. They will get the message that says, here's, your request has been adjusted, or we have questions before we can continue. So you should be checking in with your requesters. If you are the person who's planning the event, but the requester for your organization was the one who submitted the request, check in with them. Hey, did you get a confirmation back? Did they have any questions? Who's our event manager, etc. Dates, important dates regarding reservations and requests. April 7th, 2026 is when we expect to open up for student organizations. So current student organizations in good standing with requesters. You'll be able to put in 1 priority event per semester and 1 weekly meeting for the fall. Then in the fall, we'll open up for spring requests. And then, like I said, authorization rolls over in July. So as of July 2nd, you'll need to re-enroll and become an authorized requester again. All right, moving on to the next slide. Academic classrooms, we only deal with those 1 semester at a time because the course schedule has to be in first prior to opening up for. So when we open up on April 7th, you'll be able to put in 1 weekly meeting request that also includes academic classrooms, but you will not be able to request academic classrooms for the spring because the course schedule will not be in place yet. So evenings only applies to some of the buildings. So liberal arts and the science complex are available after 5, Monday through Friday. In Burdick Hall, classrooms are available after 7 Monday through Thursday or after 2 on Fridays. So if you're trying to request a classroom in liberal arts at 3 o'clock in the afternoon and you don't understand why it won't populate any classrooms, because you're not allowed to use classrooms in liberal arts prior to 5 p.m. So that's why you can't see it. No weekends are available. So liberal arts is closed, science complex is closed, Hawkins Psychology, Van Bachlen, 7800 York Road. And in Stevens Hall, Saturdays are available, but no Sundays. So those academic buildings do not have weekend availability. Where can we have food if we want to be in a classroom? In Burdick Hall or in Science Complex? Those academic spaces allow you to have snacks, and excellent cleanup is always required. If you do not clean up, there might be a reason to limit student organizations in those areas or limit what students are allowed to do in those areas. So be mindful that every meeting you have in an academic classroom is actually every student organization's meeting in an academic classroom. Your behavior affects everybody else's lives too. What's allowed in classrooms? General business discussion meetings, a guest lecture or professional workshop. Liberal arts classrooms specifically do not allow social events. You cannot have an arts and crafts project. You cannot play games. You can't just hang out. Big little reveals in particular are not allowed. Singing, dancing, movie night. They only allow movies in LA 1201. And that is because that particular room is away from other academic classrooms, because movies tend to be disruptive when people are laughing and enjoying. You can change the requester during the semester. That is not a problem. The new requester can just go through, the Blackboard assessment is available all year long, and a new person can go in. Just that everybody who's current as of June 30th, those people will all expire when we roll over. But an organization can change. Thanks for the question, Jillian. All right, moving on to the next slide. So when you're submitting a request in 25 Live, accuracy counts. What we mean by accuracy counts is 400-person conference versus a 10-person meeting. We do not mean a 9-person meeting versus a 10-person meeting. We mean accuracy counts because if you're requesting a 400-person conference, but you've requested a 40-person room only, not just for breakouts, you've requested one room, we're going to maybe ask questions about that and say, hey, that might not be the best location for you. We might need to help you find a different spot. So that's the expected attendance, total attendance. And then the next field is the number of non-TU guests. So that's anybody who's not a current faculty, staff, or student. So if you're bringing alums to campus, if you're having a conference and 200 people are coming from here, but 100 people are coming from off campus, that's what we mean by non-TU guests. The description is important. Meeting is not helpful. General business meeting where we talk about upcoming events or card making, or, we want the description. You need to put that in there. That's a required field. Setup and AV, you want to say, setup, we would like a stage. We would like theater style, which is all rows of seats. We're not sure about our setup. You want to put that information in there. Do you need audiovisual technology? Yes, we'd like to use the technology in the classroom. If you're requesting a classroom, don't just say NA, because we might put you in a classroom that doesn't have technology because you told us you didn't need technology. So you want to be accurate in all of that information. Choosing the correct event type is important when you submit your request. Weekly meetings, you need to choose weekly meeting. Outdoor events, choose outdoor event. The reason why is that the request form is flexible and it changes based on the event type. So you need to select the correct event type so that you are answering the correct questions for the information we need in order to support you. Tabling is tabling. It's not an event. So you want to choose tabling. Outdoor event is an outdoor event. Outdoor events have to be requested more than 14 days in advance. You will not even be able to, you won't even be able to request Newell Field or Towson Town Field if you're trying to submit a request fewer than 14 days. It's not available. Recurring meetings or practices are limited to 3 hours per occurrence. So weekly meetings in particular, 3 hours, and you can have up to 15 minutes of pre or post event time to organize yourselves and be ready for your meeting. The reason why is because we're trying to provide as much availability as possible for everybody. So you cannot have a 16-hour meeting every week. We need to provide as much space as possible for everybody. If a location that you're looking for is not visible during the time you're trying to, it's probably because it's not permitted to be requested during that time. So if you're not able to request, it looks like it's available. It might be that there's not enough time between activities. So the system will condition if we need to set up. If you're requesting a ballroom, we require time to set up a ballroom. So it may not allow you to request because we need more time in between activities.
There's a question in the
You
chat.
can go ahead, Jasmine.
I was just saying there was a question in the chat.
Yep.
Oh,
So
you
you can
answered. Okay.
Yep, you should be able to answer that question, Jasmine.
Okay. So when it comes to replacing requesters, you can send us an email stating who you would like to replace or who would like to be the replacement, and we can send that person information on how to complete the 25 live training in Blackboard. If that person already completed the training and is a part of a different organization, they could just reach out to us and let us know they want to be added to your organization as a requester, but they do have to make sure they complete that training first before they're able to become a requester for that organization. And we remove the old contact and add the new one in to make sure that there's space for them.
Perfect. So the information form at the end of the Blackboard assessment, the last step, there's a checkbox that says I'm a new requester, and there's also one that says I'm replacing, and then you fill in who you're replacing. You need to tell us the name of who you're replacing. We will not supply you with a list of who's authorized. You need to tell us who you're replacing because what if you were angry with that person, or you were being grumpy and trying to mess with them or do something naughty? We are not just going to take your word because we said, sure, is it this person you're replacing? And you said, oh yes, absolutely, that person. So you need to know who the requesters are. But you just complete the Blackboard assessment and fill out the information form at any point. And again, if the new requester needs the information on how to get to Blackboard, it's available online, but you can also just email reservations@towson.edu and we'll send you the steps to get logged into that. Okay, moving on to the next slide. Tabling requests. There are specific things that are allowed for tabling. So outdoor tabling, we allow pieing at Cook Beach or Tiger Plaza. Pieing is not allowed in any other location. Outdoor locations for fundraisers or information include Burdick South Entrance Table, Lecture Hall, under Lecture Hall 1 through 4. There are 4 different locations. Remember that those are actually undercover. So if you are concerned about requesting for the spring where it rains regularly in Maryland, maybe you want to request under Lecture Hall. You're still in center of campus. You're still right next to the beach, Cook Beach. So maybe you want to request a table under Lecture Hall because if it sprinkles, you're undercover already. And we also have UU North entrance tables 1 and 2. Indoor tabling. When you have an indoor tabling reservation, remember that you need to check in at the info desk with a valid ID upon arrival before you go to the table. And bake sales must take place at the bake sale tables only. We have 2 bake sale tables. They are in the University Union on the 1st floor, tables 1 and 2. And we may not be able to move you indoors if you have an outdoor bake sale and the bake sale tables indoors are already booked and you need to move inside, you've asked to move inside because it's chilly or rainy or something, we may not be able to move you. We always try, but we may not be able to move you. No-show. Failure to appear for your tabling reservation without prior cancellation with reservations management or your event manager could result in consequences in the future. So, for example, we might eventually say, you've no-shown way too many times. We're not going to book tabling for you because you just don't come. So your organization needs to make sure that somebody checks in at the information desk for indoor tabling in particular, and outdoor tabling. It's really important to let your event manager or reservations management know that you need to cancel or you'd like to reschedule. Speaking of rescheduling, is something that we can do really easily without you needing to submit a whole new request. feel free to reach out to reservations directly. We can even show you probably how to email from the event itself and say, hey, we'd like to reschedule this event. Could you help us move to a different date? We'd like to reschedule our tabling, etc. So we are happy to help you without you having to submit a whole new request. Next slide, please. So what happens when we can't request the location we want to directly? We have created a virtual placeholder location. It doesn't exist. It's called Find Me a Space. You have to have a location in order to complete your request form. So this placeholder location, if you in the locations area you type Find Me and you click search, it should bring up, or you can always use the Find Me a Space public search. So you weren't able to request a room directly and you're not sure why, or you're not even sure what location, or you're open to multiple different academic buildings and you just want our help in choosing one that's available. Lots of different reasons that you might use Find Me a Space. You complete the rest of the form with all of the information we need, and then we will help identify the correct location. Additional time we talked about earlier, pre-event and post-event time. These are the definitions of that time for you or your vendors to load in, or it is not ECS setup time. We will add on top of that. So you want to be mindful, again, if you're trying to have an event and you're trying to request 10 hours of pre-event time, well, you might not be able to book that date because we would still need setup time and breakdown time after, before and after. Yeah, so other meetings and events may be limited due to the time that we need from professional staff. All right, so contact info for us. I'm Miss Heather. We have Miss Jasmine. You've met us. Our best contact is reservations@towson.edu. That goes to both of us, and we can process and get through your questions more quickly. We answer questions. We help troubleshoot. You can send us a note. You can send us a screenshot. We are happy to help you as quickly as possible get through whatever your needs are with putting in the reservation request. From there, we process. We work with our campus partners in academic buildings. We may have questions for you. The faster you get back to us, the faster we get back to you. And then we assign an event manager and some resources, and we hand you over to the event management team, who then takes it from there to help you plan a successful event or meeting. I think we're good.
Great. Any questions for reservations while we still are on these slides, and their contact information is there too? Anything? All right, beautiful. All right, we'll keep going here. This is where we get into our Q&A session here. So if there's any specific questions that you have at all, you can shoot them at us, but if not, we have questions ready because we're uber prepared, and we want to make sure you guys leave knowing everything that you need to know. But any questions that we want to type into the chat? Unmute yourself. Anything come to mind? I know that was a lot of information, so it seems very daunting, but I promise we make the process as easy as possible for you. And like Heather said, we're always here for questions or anything that you guys have.
So
the chat.
Yep, the Cyber Center is not available for organizations, for student organizations to have meetings. There is the possibility of having an event as long as the organization itself is connected to the Cyber Center. So if you have a specific question or event that you're looking to try to consider, reach out to reservations@towson.edu and we'll connect you with the right person. I want to go back really quickly because there is an outstanding question that we've received before. The description that you put in, particularly when you're trying to request academic classrooms, you know, you're a 20-person organization, but you are requesting a 90-seat classroom, and it's imperative, or you believe it's imperative, that you have a 90-seat classroom. It's important that you put in why you need a 90-seat classroom, because the location approvers will move you to a 20-person room because 90-seat classrooms are few and far between and they're in high demand. So if there's a reason why you need to have a 90-seat classroom, it's important to put that information in your request, because we do read those. Location approvers read those. We will consider it. Doesn't mean you're necessarily going to get it, but you don't need to lie and say that 65 people are coming. You can still say 20 people are coming or 20 people are expected, but you should tell us why you need a 90-seat classroom for 20 people. Shari, I see might be Sherry.
Hi,
I
thank
see
you,
your hand
Sherry.
is up.
Yes. Question regarding the that there's a nice cute little art space behind the den in the Union. Is that part of something we can book with the iLife 25, or is that a special request? There we go. You're frozen for a
You're good.
second. Okay.
Unstable internet for everybody.
Okay. It's the time of day where people do feel a little bit unstable anyway, so it's okay. Okay.
Do you want to go ahead and ask your question and while we're getting everything set back up?
Sure, I can do that again. I was inquiring about the space that's behind the den. It's kind of like a little nightclub. The student summits in there before when we have the team building, and it's a really cool space. And I'm part of JazzX, and I'd like to inquire about booking that space. How would we have to go through iLife 25 for that, or is that a special request for
Nope,
that
it's
space?
in 25 Live, so that's pause. That's UU0145 pause. So
Let's say that again, please.
of course, that's pause, PAWS, like tiger paws, and
Uh-huh.
that space number is UU0145.
Great. All right, I
Yeah,
appreciate
of
that.
course.
Thank you very much.
You're so welcome. Okay, so yep, we talked about how to replace somebody, and we completed training, and you should email because it is possible that remember that your organization has to be an active organization at the time, which means it has to be active and currently recognized by Student Activities, by the Office of Student Activities. And so if you are not getting, if you completed Blackboard and you didn't get access and you're concerned, reach out to reservations. Hey, I'm just checking in because I'm not sure why I don't have access yet. Typically, when you put in a request, when you complete Blackboard and your information form set tells us that you're trying to be a requester for an organization that's inactive, typically we will say, hey, this organization is inactive, and we will literally copy Student Activities in so that they can help you navigate becoming active again. Booking weekly meetings, like on every Monday, is it possible to request the room right after this meeting? Oh yes, weekly meetings have been being requested throughout. You're welcome to submit your weekly meeting requests right away, as long as you already have access. So Nathaniel, if you are one of the requesters, or if your organization already has approved requesters, yes, you are welcome to submit requests. And then reservations@towson.edu is ours. So we'll bounce it back to Lourdes for questions, prepared questions.
Yeah, if anyone has any other questions that pop up as we're going through these questions that we prepare for you, just let us know, put them in the chat, or you can raise your hand if that's easier there for you too. But we'll kind of go through these questions. Some of these are more common questions that we get from students or groups throughout the semester, so sometimes it's helpful to kind of go over them in this format, and then we kind of answer them in real time. So who do I contact to make edits about my reservation? The time, the date, the location needs to be changed. So we kind of went over this, and Heather really touched on it. So you're going to go to that reservations email that's in the chat there. They're your best first place to start with those changes, and they can get that sorted for you real fast and easy there.
And again, this is a great way to, if you need to reschedule something, rather than asking us to cancel it and then submitting a whole new request, if you need to reschedule one thing, we can help you reschedule. Thanks, Lourdes.
Yeah, totally. I second that so much. It makes all of our lives so much easier when we can just go in and reschedule that for you, and then you don't have to take however much time it takes to fill out that form again. It makes things way simpler. What are the costs associated with requesting tech? So tech for each room ranges the kinds of things that you guys are requesting. If it's just presenting all the way to we're having a full open mic night. So there is a big range there. So I would kind of come in knowing that those are things that you need. The most common ones are the spaces in the union that kind of trip people up. They assume that there's a screen in there and that they can just connect their computer in and that they don't need to tell us that they need tech and that it'll cost them $0 to do that. But it is going to cost you a little chunk of change to be able to do that. So when you're putting in your reservation, like Heather said earlier, make sure that you're requesting that tech that you need, if it's a space in the union or even an academic classroom. So that way we can be transparent with you about how much that's going to cost you in your organization. And you can tell us, like, we can't afford that. We don't want to do that. And we will try our best to move you to a space where that won't matter as much for you or where it'll be less. So we can work with you too on that. We don't want you to not be able to hold the events or meetings that you want just because you can't afford it. So come and talk to us and we're happy to help with that. Okay. Can I have tech and setup for an event that is fewer than 40 days out? That is a no. So those events come into us as pop-up events, and Heather and Jasmine could probably talk about more about what that looks like on your end. But since that is such a tight turnaround for us, we can't guarantee any of those things for you there, but they probably have more to say.
So the requester for your organization will receive, when they put in the request, there'll be a little pop-up that says, due to the date of this event, this is offered as is with no setup and no tech. It'll literally tell them. And then when we process the request, there'll be the confirmation email will say, as is, no tech. We call that our pop-up window. It doesn't mean that you can't still gather in that room. It just means that you will not have a specific setup. You'll be responsible for moving the tables and chairs around yourselves, and you cannot have access to technology. So you don't want to try to plan your large open mic night fewer than 14 days out, because we will not be able to support that.
Yeah, exactly. And especially you guys are trying to do like your first meetings of the semester. If any of those are happening in the next 14 days, it's going to be hard for us to be able to accommodate any of those specific requests that you guys have. So plan ahead with your orgs now to start that first meeting out that you guys have 14 days ahead, so that we can get you all the things that you want and need. Right.
Classrooms are slightly different just because most of them have technology built into them. That does not have a cost, but you cannot have snacks in all of them. You cannot have social events in all of them, etc. So you can have your first meeting of the semester in a classroom that you've requested fewer than 14 days out, but you need to make sure that you're not planning programming that's not permitted in that classroom.
Exactly, yep. All right, can I request a tabling reservation for the same day? That's another one that reservations can say a big no on there. Yeah, so really, again, plan ahead, try to figure out those dates ahead and get that calendar set for when you guys want to do that. But they'll tell you that's a
Yep. Minimum of 3 days for almost any location, including tabling. Outdoor event space, definitely not, but tabling. And then what we're talking about is the initial request, not a request that you already have in place, but you need to move because there's a tornado outside or something like that. That's not what we're talking about. Your event managers and reservations management, we will work together to support you with weather concerns. We're talking about initial request for the same day. The answer is no.
All right. What event setup styles are available? We mentioned a couple of them while we were going through things, but there are different setups that we allow groups to have. The most common one that we'll see is probably, I want to say like classroom style, which is what you all are used to. It's a table in front of you, chairs behind them. We'll have theater style, which is just a bunch of chairs all lined up all together. If you guys are doing larger, mostly like food catering style events, that's where we'll get bigger round banquet tables in, circle tables where people are sitting around them But event managers were happy to kind of give you guys different options about what works for your event and kind of write out some diagrams and things for you. So especially as you're planning larger things throughout the semester and you're like, we have 100 people coming and we're feeding them and we're doing these activities and how does this all fit in this room? We can help you figure that out. But try to be as detailed as you can when you're putting in that reservation with what you might need so we can help. Sweet. All right. Can I book an academic classroom for a social event? Heather already said, so we'll skip right through this. No. They're meant for your scheduled business meetings. They're not meant to be social hour to hang out and to do all those things. So I'll skip over this one real fast. Who would I contact if I need to edit my reservation due to weather? We hit on this already. Go hit up that reservations email for that for sure. And then us event managers can work with you as well if you need anything. What are different options for fundraisers? We touched on this too. There's pieing fundraisers. We can do outdoor ones where you guys are giving out different kinds of food, drinks, things like that. But if you have any other specific questions, put that in your request or come talk to us.
So you can't sell anything that's not a Coke product. You can't sell anything that has milk or cream or anything in it. You can't. You're not a licensed safe serve, whatever it is. So there are definitely rules about fundraisers. And so that's why it's really important to put the information in when you're submitting your request. As Jasmine mentioned in the chat earlier, it's really important to tell us what you're trying to do. Bake sale, you need to tell us. Here's the treats that we're planning to sell. We made them at home, whatever we did. We bought cookies from somewhere and we're going to sell them, etc. Games of chance are not allowed without a permit from the county that takes 60 to 90 days minimum to get, and it costs money, and it's typically not attainable. So bingo that you're charging people to play, no. Lottery, no. If you are selling something that people physically get, so you'll see some fundraising opportunities where you buy a duck, everybody gets a duck, you are getting a duck, and there's numbers on that duck, but you bought the duck, you did not buy a chance. So keep that in mind as you're looking at fundraisers, because all of them are really cool, but each semester is 15 weeks, and sometimes we don't have, you will not have time to get your permit from the county to have a game of chance.
Yeah. All right, I think we only have a couple minutes left, so I'm gonna go back to where our names were and our contact information just so that you guys have them. But if you guys have any other lingering questions, you can put them in the chat or just stay back and we can help you answer them. You all have been great today and giving us some really good questions and feedback there. So we are very,
I think you want to go to the last slide.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
The very last
I'm going
slide.
the opposite way I need to be going. Sorry, guys. There you go. We're here to help. So I appreciate you all staying back here, listening to us. And again, we're Event and Conference Services, and we're here to help you guys with all the cool things you guys are putting together throughout the semester. So I hope to see some cool things from you guys soon. So thank you. If you guys want to head back to the main room, log off, you're more than welcome to, or to hang back. Thanks, guys.
Yes, let's find that link.
Yeah, I've got it around here.
You have it already? Fantastic.
Maybe not. Let's see. We'll see who's the fastest.
I don't know what I did with that email. There it is.
Got it.
This is the main one.
Perfect. Thank you.
That one should be the main one.
Great. Bye, everyone. If you have questions, let us know. Otherwise, have a great day. Bye, everyone.
All right. You can probably stop recording.
It might have stopped when I
No, it
cut
came
out.
back. It came
came
back. So,
back?
yep,
Okay,
you'll have
great.
two. So you'll have two recordings. So
Perfect.
we can edit those.